Hey everybody, everything new under the sun. Second video for today. Good news and bad news. The good news is that the UK, England, has ended all COVID passports, mask mandates, work restrictions. Now, the idea is that they are beyond or past the peak of Omicron, which effectively spells the end of the pandemic for all intents and reasons and purposes, rather. And Omicron becomes endemic, which means it's a yearly thing, just like the flu, cold, etc. It's likely to be rolled into the flu shot. But this is a great turning point, although the last 2 years of lockdowns and economic destruction will not be recovered from. The supply chain issues, the debt load, the economic trouble, and everything else, mental illness, the people who've lost jobs, lost lives, lost everything, lost income from this, from mandates, etc. None of that will ever be recovered, probably. Restrictions including COVID-19 passes, which I'm interested in, mask mandates, work from home requirements will be removed. UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson announced Wednesday. Johnson also suggested that self-isolation rules may also be thrown out at the end of March. And now that March is the expiry date for their isolation, their current emergency measures expiry date for isolation rules, so he's going to let that expire effectively. Effective immediately, the UK government is no longer asking people to work from home. COVID pass mandate for nightclubs, large events won't be renewed when it expires on January 26th. And from Thursday, indoor mask wearing will no longer be compulsory anywhere in England. Now, this is great news, and I hope this means a return to somewhat normality, although I don't think the shock and awe ends there. I think there'll be something next, something to top this, be even worse than this. This was kind of a warm-up. This was kind of a conditioning. Now, people in power know what it takes and know how easily they can control the population. And when the next thing comes, you betcha we're going to be going into mandates and lockdowns again. The next pandemic that comes, they're not going to reconsider it. They're not going to do anything different. They're going to go straight to lockdowns and masks again because we've done it once. We know how to do it. They're going to do it again. All right. Now, interesting though, Boris Johnson was potentially having a non-confidence vote done against him by the politicians in England. Now, I don't know if that was there or not yet, but he was hitting a lot of resistance because of his parties that he had around Christmas and such. And so he was probably near getting voted out as Prime Minister. But with this great and fantastic news, that may stem the tide and cause him not to lose his job. So it may have been a politically calculated move as much as a scientific move, knowing that Omicron, as long as they're through the peak, is going down, and that's going to be generally the end of the pandemic. All right, now the bad news, Tonga. So of course we saw the videos of the eruption, but there's some before and after pictures which I don't know if you saw. This is an image of the ash-laden land in Tonga. The massive volcanic eruption and tsunami in Tonga has caused catastrophic damage with homes destroyed, many communities covered in thick layers of ash, and that's why it has that gray hue or tinge to it. Unprecedented disaster. All communications are down. They're using satellite phones right now. The undersea cable connecting Tonga to the outside world was severed by the eruption. Massive tsunami. There's at least one death, probably more today, actually. Now, this is a link that I'll put in the description. Remind me in the comments if I don't, but it has before and after photos. So you can slide this. You can see what it looked like before, all the buildings, the port, ships, etc. And you slide it over here, and you can see just destruction and waste and ash, and that's why everything looks darker. So there's before the tsunami and after the tsunami. So those tsunamis, they cause, obviously, a lot of trouble, and that's an understatement. Here's another one. Here's a peninsula. Here's before. You can see all the houses going down the road to the end, and here is after. Just a wasteland covered in ash. ash everywhere, and basically all the roofs of the houses covered in ash, and that's why they're darkened. And who knows what other destruction. You can see around the edges some destruction in terms of different. There's more beaches. If you look at the very top, there's more beaches at the after the tsunami, and prior to it, there's a lot more greenery. I think around the end of it there, you can kind of see it as you go back and forth. Here's another image, and so we need to be praying for the people of Tonga. So there's before beautiful paradise island, and after destruction, apocalyptic destruction, I would describe it as. And I would very much think in the last days, this is what it will look like when the Lord destroys the earth with fire. I think we're going to see a lot more of this all over, and there's just going to be absolute apocalyptic destruction. And that's what they're experiencing in Tonga. Loss of all communications, loss of all fresh water, because the ash is poisoning the water effectively. You can't drink it without filtering it properly. So no fresh water, no communications, and obviously, they won't be able to grow food until they get some rain, wash the ash off the leaves and the trees, and whatever stock they have is probably being used up, and there's probably a lot of desperate people there. So it's just one of those things to be aware of. We have no idea the ultimate catastrophe that will come, can come, and will likely come sooner than we think. So you can never be too prepared or prepared for everything. Look at the destruction there. Just everything covered in ash. Before, all the houses and streets clear, cars on the road. After, just destruction. A barren, almost like a wasteland from Mad Max or something like that. So incredible images from BBC. I'll put the link in the description. Be prepared. I think things like this are coming to a location near you as we get a rise in earthquakes and volcanoes in various diverse places, as the Bible speaks of, and supply chain issues, more pandemics, wars and rumors of wars, all these things. Where the Bible told us these things were coming and that they would increase in frequency and intensity. So you're going to see it. Sooner or later, there's going to be a calamity come to exactly where you live. Right now, pockets of people are experiencing calamities like the tornadoes in the U.S., the flooding in Vancouver, B.C., now this tsunami in Tonga. Populations and centers are basically seeing this calamity come right upon them. We here, all our some of our produce here was not allowed to be sold to the U.S. For a reason of a problem with the produce. And so the Canadian government stopped all selling of that particular produce. And that has hurt the economy hugely here. And every community everywhere is going to have their own personal, if you will, calamity come upon them. And you name it. I don't know what it will be, but it's going to come near you. And we're all going to experience it in these last days. So folks, prepare, yes, but pray for Tonga. Here is the island, the volcanic crater before the eruption, and here it is after. Completely disappeared. The center part just sunk. It exploded, wiped everything out, and so absolutely incredible. Folks, I'll leave it there. Thanks for watching. I want to get that up to you. Incredible news in the UK. Hope that is going to come to U.S. and Canada soon. And I think now that the UK is leading this, I think other countries will do it relatively quickly. As it's always hard for the first person to go, but once the first person does, just like dominoes, the rest of them go too. So maybe our worst fears are not being realized yet, but I suspect more calamity, shock and awe in 2022. Just wait for whatever the next thing is. I think we're in the last days. Thanks for watching, folks. Be prepared. Get your heart right with the Lord Jesus Christ. He died and rose again on a cross 2,000 years ago for my sin and your sin, and he's coming back soon to judge the world. But before that, the 7-year period, the deception and ruling of the Antichrist across the world, the wars, rumors of wars, and all the things spoken of in Mark and Luke and Daniel and Revelation are coming upon the world, and I think very shortly. And I think 2022 is going to be very potentially the kickoff to all those events if they haven't already kicked off, by the latest news happening. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.